You ever wonder, what is wonder? Does it matter? Hi, my name is Susie Porter, and I help women rewrite their lives so they can create their happily ever after. Can you remember when you were a little kid? Can you remember how you felt like the first time you saw something new or spectacular or even ordinary? How, when you were a young kid, you saw everything as something to be curious about. Everything was brand new and free from any of our baggage or judgment or cynicism. When we're young children, our minds are open and we just look at the world with a fresh perspective. We don't have to read self-help books or go to therapy to learn how to be in the moment, right? As young kids, we naturally live there. We just are in the moment. It's hard to get us out of the moment. We cry and scream and have temper tantrums when our parents pull us out of the moment because the moment is all there is when we're young. Um, what's beautiful about young children, and I've worked with young kids for over 20 years, so I'm an expert. I've been observing them, and plus I'm a mom. Is that, and I remember being a young kid actually. I remember it and I never forgot. When you're a young child, you have this natural, innate curiosity. All kids are scientists. All kids want to learn. It's not till we send them to school and force them that they start hating to learn, right? But we're born curious. We're born with wonder. So, what is wonder? And does it matter now for us as adults, as grown-ups? Can it benefit our lives? For the most part, young children want to play and they're happy to pretend and to let their feelings get excited. In all my years of teaching, never once, I would say, of a group from 3 to 5 year olds, if I say, okay, you're a puppy, never has a kid ever actually said, I don't want to be a puppy. They're immediately, ruff, ruff, ruff. They want to lose themselves in pretend, in imagination. They want to, and they're happy. Every kid is an actor too. They don't stop and think. They just dive right in. Um, but as we grow up, we hear things like "wake up and smell the coffee" or "wake up and see reality." You're not a kid anymore. You're not a baby anymore. And in those phrases, the implication is that if we live in our imaginations or if we feel wonder, we're being immature, childish, irresponsible, or just plain weird. But I want to suggest and offer to you that we've been sold bullshit, a false narrative. I want to tell you that imagination, wonder, and living in the moment are the tools that every great enlightened master, every talented artist, every creative person has mastered. Every architect, every scientist, every doctor, anyone who's ever broken out of quote reality had to use their imagination, or else they never would have done that, right? Can you just imagine what our world would be like with no art, no creativity, no sense of wonder or mystery? When we feel wonder and awe, our minds, we open up a doorway in our minds and our lives to miracles and surprises. Wonder creates a space in our lives for possibility. To wonder is to open your mind to the potential of something greater than what our logical mind can conceive. Einstein said it. Imagination is more important than knowledge. Knowledge is limited, but imagination encircles the world, encircles the multiverse, right? uh, I've heard this story so many times. I'm a big fan of Einstein, and I've been a teacher for 20 years, so I've heard this quote so many times. And I've dealt with mothers very much like this mother also for 20 years, and I know how they think. This mom was very earnest and sincere, and she wrote Albert Einstein a letter. Dear Mr. Einstein, what should I do to encourage my young son to grow up to be a scientist? What should I read? What should I do? And Einstein wrote her back. He used to actually write back to letters. Isn't that cool? And he wrote her, uh, read read fairy tales to your son. And she read the letter and she got really pissed off. She got really mad and she wrote him another letter. And she said, Mr. Einstein, I'm serious. Please tell me, what should I do? What should I do to get my son to be a scientist? And Einstein wrote her back, read him more fairy tales. um, and I know so many parents today, especially in big cities like LA, New York, or whatever, that who feel just like this mom felt. And many fancy, ritzy preschools charge, you know, I don't know how much, 10, 15 grand a year for these little 3-year-olds to go to these academic programs that promise that your young child will be on the fast track to Harvard, because that's the most important thing, right? And it seems very logical to these parents, and I've dealt with them, and there's no way to convince them, even though you can show them research. They don't, there it's I think it's out of fear, right? And they mean well, they want their kids to be successful, and so they're going to start them young, right? I mean, in LA you got to get on the list when you're pregnant. So on the list to get into that fancy preschool, which will completely thwart your kid's imagination. But it seems so logical, right? Academics, discipline, learning as much information, but it's completely uh, counterproductive. Uh, what's going to solve the world's problems is not more knowledge and information. I mean, knowledge and information is fantastic, and academics are great. I'm certainly not anti academic, but it matters that at an early age, and for all our life actually, a young brain, what matters most is imagination, problem solving, creative thinking, social emotional learning, and wonder. We're not going to solve our these huge problems that we have in the world with knowledge alone. We humans need wonder, we need awe, and we need to access the deeper parts of our awareness, and wonder is the doorway to those deeper parts. People say, follow your dreams. It's on bumper stickers and book covers everywhere. But how many of us still even dream? Or if we do dream, it's like a far off kind of pipe dream, right? Like, oh, if I won the lottery, maybe blah, blah, blah. Or maybe, maybe we imagine when we watch TV or movies, we pretend, or in our dreams, maybe we dream. In our dreams, we dream. We have permission to dream. But what about in our day-to-day lives? Why do we face reality? And I'm going to say, ask another question here. In addition to what is wonder, what is reality? Too many human beings have proven that reality is perception, and that reality just depends on our point of view. One person's reality is another person's pretend. Up until the 1950s, it was believed over the whole world as a scientific fact that it was impossible for a human being to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. Impossible. People believed and accepted that fact, so nobody ran a mile in under 4 minutes until May 6th, 1954. A young student named Roger Bannister ran the mile in 3 minutes, 59 seconds. And then only a few weeks later, another runner in Australia ran the mile in 3 minutes, 57 seconds, only 3 weeks later. And now today, almost 2,000 runners have broken the 4 minute mile. As soon as Roger Bannister busted that idea, other people could do it. Why? Because people believed it was possible. What do you believe is impossible in your life? Have you just given up on your dreams? Do you just not even dream anymore at all? Do you think you're too old? I understand that one. Or too whatever. Do you take time every day to wonder? Do you? Do you make room in your life for imagination, visualization, play, awe, wonder? This is one of my all time favorite quotes by George Bernard Shaw. He said, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." Love that. You knew how to dream and play when you were a kid. You were born with an innate curiosity and wonder. Why not invite it back into your life? Your day to day mundane life. Your life will be less mundane if you invite your wonder back. I promise. It's free, it's accessible, it's within you, it's there. It might be dormant, it might be buried, but it's there. What impossible things could you do? You might not run a mile in under 4 minutes, but what could you do? What reality could you create? When you give space for your dreams, when you open up your sense of wonder and possibility, you are inviting the power of the universe to support you in the creation of your dreams. Neville Goddard, who's probably the foremost, almost like freakishly obsessed with imagination, he is the king of teaching about imagination. If you're curious and you want to know more, read his books. They're very, very, very deep and intense, but they're amazing also. And I could talk for hours just about his teachings, but I picked one of his quotes is that the law, and he's talking about the law of cause and effect creation, it operates by faith, that if you believe, no effort is necessary to see the fulfillment of every desire. Now, that's a tricky one for us people of action, doers. It doesn't mean you lay around on the couch and do nothing. It means that the faith and the belief, and one of my favorite verses about faith from the Bible is faith is the evidence of things hoped for, the substance of things not seen. Maybe it's the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. I love that. It's basically saying the same thing Neville Goddard says. The 4 minute mile was the evidence of the faith that Roger Bannister had. But you have to have the faith first. The faith and the wonder and the awe opens the door. Even if you just believe just a little bit, that's really all you need. A teeny tiny seed, like Jesus talked about the mustard seed. A mustard seed's tiny. I remember in the 70s, my mom used to have a little glass bottle with a little teeny tiny cork, and it had a little teeny tiny mustard seed. And I think it had like a card that said, "If you have faith like a mustard seed." And I remember I used to stare at that little seed. So the meaning is that you just need to believe a tiny bit, right? You don't have to be like, Mohammed and move a mountain. You just have to be a tiny bit of belief. And I really wonder what the world could be like if adults use their imagination more. I wonder how your life could be different if you tapped into this power within you. How my life could be different if I believed more. And I wonder when we as a human race will realize that this power is within us. I wonder. I do wonder. Do you? I hope so. Take good care.